Welcome back, I'm Dylan Saint-Amand, and today we're diving into one of the most iconic creatures in all of tabletop gaming. In this fourth episode of our show, our painters will be taking on a true Dungeons & Dragons classic, the Owlbear. Three painters, each with their own unique style, will bring these ferocious hybrids to life. Whether they lean into the terrifying predator or give us something a little more whimsical, we'll end up with three wildly different visions of this legendary beast. This is Creative Differences.
Hi, my name is Marco Gloriani, and I'm here to paint.
So Adam Ferenzi. I am a friend of the groups, I guess. That's how I got roped into doing this.
Yeah, I'm David Coffin. Last time I was here, I painted a lizard, and I think it turned out pretty good. Pretty gritty though still. I think I still want to brighten it up for the next one, so.
I have twice maybe, 2 sessions. I painted a couple of Warhammer minis, but not too many.
Yeah, I've been a miniature painter since I was, 14. So I've been doing it for a while. Took a break. I feel like a lot of people who get into the tabletop war game, kind of Warhammer hobby, and who have been doing it for a while have a break at some point in their life, because everybody I know who's been doing it for 10 plus years, they're like, yeah, I took a break during high school or after high school. Mine was after college. Took a couple years off, and then through my time playing paintball, I made friends with a guy who was getting back into the hobby, and we both kind of got back into it together, and that was almost 10 years ago now. So it's been quite a few years that I've been partaking in the plastic crack addiction.
It was pretty good. I was happy with how it turned out. I was impressed with how colorful the other two were compared to mine, so I want to really try to work on that. I know I say that a lot, of trying to brighten up my models and stop painting everything so dark and gritty, but I was pretty happy with how it turned out. The resin was a challenge, but not the worst thing I've ever painted, so.
So I've started building some Gunpla. I started getting back into it. I haven't built them in a while. There's also some Digimon figures that I can also build, and I would love to give them custom colorways. I think it'd be really cool.
Do they do that?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's Gunpla is a Gundam plastic model. So Gunpla, and it's you just kind of merge them together. I haven't really been building a lot of them recently, but I do have a little pile of shame, and I want to work through that, and I want to make them as aesthetic as I can, and see if there's anything I can learn from today and apply it to building these kits.
Yeah. War game, and then D&D. I got into D&D, I want to say 7-ish years ago, maybe 8 years ago now. And then I actually had miniatures for D&D from back when they sold the blind boxes to play a miniature war game with them. They had a grid map on paper that you would get, and it was here's the stat block and here's the abilities, and you built an army of the most random collection of D&D monsters, and you would fight. So I had a bunch of them, and then got back into it, and we started out with the classic these are all goblins. Ignore that one of them is a young white dragon and one is a, tabaxi monk. They're all goblins, right? And then they started coming out with a lot more of these pre-painted ones, and then the Nulzers line, that was the, ready for paint, which they're not. And just started collecting more and more, to the point where I was I'm not fielding a monster unless I have the mini for it. Which has amassed to me having a collection of just over 500 D&D minis at this point. Those IKEA Detolf cabinets, the glass ones? So I doubled up the shelves in that, and I fill 2 of those that way. So it's quite a collection.
Usually bigger is better, in my opinion. I'm not great with tiny details. So when they're bigger, you have more room to play with, right? It's a bigger canvas. You don't have to worry about eyes looking as wonky because your brush is too tiny and things like that, right? So I much prefer painting bigger models. but you know, you only have so much space on a shelf. I want to paint some more classic demons. I know like the Creature Caster website has some really cool ones. I haven't ordered from them yet, but I plan to. It's partially because Games Workshop wants to cater to kids, so their demons are very PG-13, whereas Creature Caster, you know, a bit more gory, a bit more violent. You know, there's a lot of really cool stuff on there.
A bit more what you.
Like I mentioned earlier, the hardest thing with the resin is that it's all one piece, right? Whereas the Warhammer, you could not glue the arm on until you're ready. I want to say the resin can be more detailed, but that comes at the cost that it's more fragile, right?
As we saw with.
Well, yeah. So in terms of like, I find the Games Workshop plastic is more resilient than the resin. I mean, Games Workshop resin is also fragile, so that's just a resin thing. So there is that advantage of plastic. You know, I actually prefer the old metal models that they don't sell anymore, just because the heft to them. Can't really say they're easier to paint, but I do prefer the old metal ones. But in terms of painting the actual models, I'd say it's about the same. Like, it's like minor differences. It's really just about getting like access to the model to paint it and disassembling it and all that stuff. So
Use a bit.
Actually, I've always wanted to paint just a classic D&D dragon, like a young red dragon, adult red dragon, or a wyvern, some sort of big mythological like boss monster of some kind. I think it'd be really fun to paint one of those, even a beholder, any of those really big models that I've always found very intimidating to try to paint. I wanna eventually work up the courage to be able to paint them and not mess them up too much. So I want to start small with little kits. Yeah, just a classic D&D monster. Even like an owlbear to start.
Even like an owlbear.
Just nice, humble, petite little guy. Work my way up to the big, you know, and maybe an ancient red dragon. That would be really cool. But you know, I have a long way to go, so I don't want to do that yet.
I don't know how you got it, but Owlbear.
Yo, that's my dude. Let's go.
Your first impression.
Oh my god, it's an owlbear. This is actually, so like genuinely one of my favorite D&D minis and monsters.
Such a classic.
It's such a classic. It's like, it's big and scary enough that you can scare anybody with it, and veterans are still like, bro, we're level 2, why are you throwing an owlbear at us?
oh no. Oh yeah, that belly's gonna be rough. That rock. I don't really want to pry it off and re-glue it, so we're just gonna go at it and see what happens. Yeah, I mean, my impulse is to paint it brown because it's an owlbear, but I also want to try out the fluorescent paints. So we're gonna see what it's gonna end up. Maybe some red, maybe some pink, who knows? We'll see.
All right, so here I am with my owlbear now. I've learned to use the airbrush again to apply the, I guess, to prime the model. I'm still relearning all the terms. So I primed the model. I wanted to do sort of 3, I guess, main colors for the owlbear. I wanted to do a nice brown for the back and the legs. For the belly, I kind of wanted it to be kind of lighter, so I went with I'm going to go with a white with a little bit of detailing. I haven't figured out what kind of detailing yet. And at the top, I wanted to give it a sort of a purple, kind of like in the monster manual. I really like purple hues, and I kind of want to see if I can make it fade from the purple into the brown. I think that would look really cool. So next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking this kind of purple speed paint, and I just learned to dry brush. So I'm going to try dry brushing the purple on the top part of the model here, and let's see where it goes.
quick update. I did some base coating with the airbrush. I ended up going for kind of a classic purple as inspiration, but I'm trying to do kind of a contrasty bright orange on his extremities. And then what I did was on his mane and on his face, I did the orange, and this was a happy accident. I didn't really like it, so I went back over it with purple that I over-thinned, accidentally, not intentionally, but it ended up tinting it to this kind of brighter purpley orange color, which I kind of like, so we'll stick with that. I'm thinking for the claws, I'm gonna try to do like a reflective ebony material. It's a technique I have only seen photos of and have not tried, so we'll see how that turns out. And then yeah, we'll go from there. I'm sure in an hour it'll not be half of what I said.
So I want to say about halfway done. I definitely shouldn't have started with the base. That was a mistake, but I got excited and the base was easy, so I wanted to start with that. I'm also struggling with the fluorescent paints. So last time I used them on the Treant, I started with white and built up to the fluorescent. I didn't do that this time, and I'm realizing I shouldn't have, because this fluorescent paint is very thin and I'm having to put on a lot of coats and it is not going on super smooth. I think it'll look good once it's done, but it's gonna take some work. Other than that, I am pleased with the results. I was a little iffy about it till I got the purple on there. So I'm really liking my bright colors. I'm liking the how they pop off the brown. I still have to work on the claws. I have to do a lot more work on the base. So there's still plenty to do. I'm gonna probably do a wash to end it for the day and come back next week to finish it up. We will see how I'm feeling. I am pretty pleased with it so far, but lots to do, so we'll see where it goes.
And that's it for this episode of Creative Differences. 3 painters, 3 incredible takes on one of D&D's most beloved monsters, the mighty owlbear. A huge thank you to Archvillain Games for crafting these fantastic models, which we picked up from their store on myminifactory.com. You'll find their link in the description below if you want to grab one for your own collection. And if you want to throw an upgraded owlbear into your next campaign, head over to www.silverdicesociety.com to download a free Dungeons & Dragons 5e stat block, perfect for bringing this creature to your table. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a like, share your favorite owlbear paint job in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Silver Dice Society for more painting, gaming, and creative inspiration. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Creative Differences.